the 4 best index funds slash ETFs to invest in. So the first one is the VOO, which stands for the Vanguard 500 Index Fund ETF. Now this is the ETF, of course. If you want the index fund equivalent, you want to take a look at the VFINX or the VFIAX. Now the VOO is one of my personal favorites. It's also the first ETF that I started investing in. And with the VOO, you're just trying to match the market. You're not trying to beat the market, because the VOO, the S&P 500, you're just mirroring the companies that are in the S&P 500, which is being used as the benchmark, of course. Now the second one is the BND. This is the Total Bond Market Index Fund ETF. Now the cool thing about this one is that if you look at the top securities in this fund, they are all treasury notes, and the treasury note has a maturity date of between 2 and 10 years. All those treasury notes have different maturity dates, and they have different interest payment dates. So with a normal treasury note, you get paid once every 6 months, but in the bond ETF, you get paid on a monthly basis. And even if a bond matures, you don't have to go out and buy new bonds, because you can just be invested in BND, hold on to it, and you'll be getting interest payments on a monthly basis. The third one, I call it V2, but you actually spell it VTWO, which is the Vanguard Russell 2000 Index Fund ETF. Now the cool thing about this ETF is that it mirrors the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 being 2,000 small cap companies. The good thing about these small cap companies is that they have the potential to blow up and become mid cap or large cap companies. Also, small cap companies don't have that many eyeballs as the mid and large cap companies. So there are a lot of hidden gems available in that Russell 2000. And number 4 is the VXUS, which is the Vanguard Total International Stock Index Fund, ETF. Now, if you're the type of investor that wants to invest globally or even internationally outside of the US, you more than likely know that investing internationally, a whole new set of risks come into play that you normally don't have to think about. Economical risks, companies paying out dividends but not as consistently as companies within the US. There's a lot of risk associated with investing in companies in countries that you might not be familiar with. That's where this ETF plays a big role in your investment portfolio. And I have an interesting story about international investing. I like to invest in individual companies, but I also like to invest in index funds and ETFs. And I was looking at investing in some of the companies in a different country. I was looking at investing in companies internationally. So I was looking at different countries, and I was looking at different continents, and I was using a stock screener in order to plug in my numbers to see which companies I can add to my watch list and then eventually buy. So I was looking in Brazil, I was looking in Africa, I was looking at China, India, and I found a handful of good companies to invest in. One of them was in China, which was China Mobile. So I went ahead and I think I paid about $300 to $400 to buy stock in China Mobile. So I was collecting the dividends on a frequent basis, and I was watching the value go up and down like it always does in the stock market. But a couple of months after I bought it, the government actually banned China Mobile. So they did give you a heads up of a couple of months before the ban, but I'm the type of investor, I don't always look in my investments account on a daily basis, especially my international investments accounts. So what ended up happening was, when I actually logged into my account, I noticed that the ticker symbol for China Mobile was turned into numbers. So I tried to sell it after I knew what happened, and I couldn't sell it for a couple of months. And that's where an international stock ETF fund would be perfect, because a fund manager is always up on the latest information. So in this case, the fund manager would take the necessary actions in order to sell China Mobile, which of course I didn't know because I wasn't paying attention to all my international stocks. I was focusing on my watch list of the stocks within the US. And another one that you can add to the list is called VO, which invests in mid-cap companies. So we've hit the large cap companies with the VOO. We've hit the small cap companies with the V2, which invests in the Russell 2000 companies. We've also hit the bond market, which is the fixed income asset, with the BND ETF. But if you also want to round it up, large cap, small cap, and then mid cap, make sure you take a look at FIO. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Giovanni, I like this list, but why are all these ETFs and index funds Vanguard specific ones? Well, you can look at the equivalent ETFs and index funds from different companies such as Fidelity, but you will more than likely notice that Vanguard has the lowest expense ratio when it comes to their ETFs and index funds.